I think business is business too. You know what I mean? People are predictable.
Yeah.
And in that predictability, you can deduce from years and years and years of people doing business that you're gonna, maybe things have changed here and there, but for the most part, there's a consistency in growth, and okay, and in this part you're probably going to experience this, and then when you guys move here, you're probably going to experience this.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm Armando Leduc, producer, film actor, and owner of Leduc Entertainment. I've chosen a life off the beaten path and wanted to find others that are doing the same. Spaghetti on the Wall is a show based on all of the years that I've thrown spaghetti on the wall and nurtured what stuck. We will share fun stories, ideas, tips, tricks, and more. Welcome to Spaghetti on the Wall. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on when you are consuming this podcast. Spaghetti on the Wall, back with another banger. Josh Middlebrooks, what's up, man?
How's it going, man?
Welcome to the show. Applause. Do you get applause a lot when you walk in to work?
Not as much as I'd like, to be honest. So
I understand. I feel that. I would love some more applause. I think as runners and visionaries of the business, we don't necessarily get the accolades. People forget about us a lot. So talk to me. So we're Luxer One. Talk to me about what this product is, man.
Yeah. So Luxer One, we were created to solve the package management problem, primarily play in the multifamily space. So, Amazon, UPS, USPS, all these guys deliver hundreds of packages a day, right, to apartment buildings across the country. It becomes unmanageable. They're stacked up everywhere. They're somewhere in the back. You don't really have access to them. So we drop our smart lockers in. The carriers deliver right to the smart locker. We send you a code saying, hey, come pick it up at your convenience. Here's a picture of the package. And residents are able to access packages 24/7. It's all super clean, and package management problem solved.
Who came up with this idea?
Our founder, Arik Levy, is kind of like the godfather of smart lockers. Mm-hmm. He actually had a company previous to this called Laundry Locker, where similar concept, you would, but back when people were going into the office all the time and dry cleaning shirts and all of this, they weren't really open 24/7. They were, closed down at 5 p.m. It's really hard to do that. You had to spend your weekend doing it. So he came up with this smart locker. You drop it in, throw your laundry in, wash it, fold it in the background. We drop it back off to you. Here's a text message with your code. That became the largest dry cleaning operation in the Bay Area. It's going gangbusters. But these property managers, where we were primarily installed, were saying, hey, love what you guys are doing with laundry, but there's this pile of packages that has become a mountain. Can you guys tweak the software, tweak the hardware, and solve this problem? And, Luxer One was born. But all that credit goes to, Arik Levy, our founder.
And so you guys are solving this problem. How you guys have been in business since what, 2018?
So we sold the company in 2018. Luxer One was launched in debatable, but somewhere between that 2013 and 2015 timeframe.
Cool. And so what's the goal here for the next 2 to 5 years?
At this point, we're just scaling, man. So in the first few years, hey, is this real? Can we sell this? Can we make this a business? I think check on that side. After we exited, it was really all about can we maintain this growth? And now that's basically the journey that we're on. The past few years, even though we're in year 8, call it, of the company, and even though we've been going through COVID and recession and all of this, we grew 23% last year. We grew 20% the year before that, all organic. So it's, hey, how fast can we run, and how much can we maintain this trajectory that we're on?
Talk to me about what that's like as a CEO, running a company that we're more service-based business.
Yeah.
I feel like this is service-based business, but also like a product, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you guys are providing a service, but it's more of a product, right?
You know, it's really both, and that's honestly what makes it. That's the main challenge. It's like you're not really just running one type of business, and for folks out there that have done a product business versus a service business, super different. Bringing that all under one roof and relying on a product to fulfill a service has been a interesting challenge. I'll say that. And it's funny. I always give Arik a hard time. I went back to school and got my MBA and all that, and actually learned about Arik and the businesses that he was doing with Laundry Locker and all of that. But you bring in an extra layer of complexity. Like you need the engineers on one side, you need customer success on the other side, and they have to have like a congruent dialogue to serve these customers. So, hey, the hardware might break, people might call out sick. It's a ton of different challenges that go into it that we just need to be prepared for every single day. I don't know that there's one side of the house that's easier than the other. I think being a product guy at heart, I always like kind of leaned more on that side and kind of understood that side a little bit better. But man, the services side is just as challenging, right? Because one hand kind of washes the other. If you don't have great service, no one wants your product. So it's been a very, very interesting challenge. And then staffing that whole thing through the pandemic was, I don't want to do that again. So
I bet. How many people work for you guys?
We're right around 250 right now.
And how does that, what do you spend your days doing as a CEO of a company this large?
It's a great question. I mean, I would love to be like, oh, I'm in the lab and it's strategy and it's vision. And it's a lot of email, let's be real, is answering that. But no, it's been fun. It's definitely been different. I think the main challenge is like a few years ago, it was like you get to get your hands dirty every day and hey, we're a speedboat. We're turning the boat now. Within 7 days, we'll have a new product. We'll be out there marketing it. The communication is fast. We're all in the same room. We're kind of grinding it out, and you get to be in the weeds with all of that. And that's, super enjoyable. I think that's like what entrepreneurship is, like 101. Then you get to a point where we're at 250 people now. We're growing, we're scaling, we're doing all this stuff. We're past the point where you get to talk to everybody in the company every single day. We're past the point where everyone knows everybody's like kids' names and what you did on the weekend and all of that. So it's really kind of now relying on people and making sure you made some really great hires and making sure that you're tapped in, but you're not over the shoulder micromanaging some of these really talented people. And I think that's, honestly, that's super hard for people that started a company and were in startup mode to, take a step back and trust and rely and all of that. So I think a lot of my days now are just like, hey, coaching and working through problems with folks. And, even when I see somebody maybe taking a step that I wouldn't have, kind of hold my breath and bite my tongue and go for it, bud. We'll see. And and kind of just, a little bit more hands-off approach.
Did you, going to, getting your MBA, did you think that really is real world? Like, who's teaching these classes? Are they, is this real world stuff, or is this, professors that are not really in the business world teaching you how to be in the business world? I
get this question actually a lot, and it's interesting because I'm kind of, I've done the startup side, done the MBA side, and I think there is this like narrative out there right now where it's like, hey, don't hire MBAs because they'll come in and textbook you to death. And to a certain extent, that is true. Like I'll be the first to admit it, right? A lot of the stuff that I'm trying to like step around this like topic gently because I have some professors that follow me and stuff like that. They're gonna give me a call, but like there's a lot of stuff that you learn that I have not personally used in my journey on a
Right.
day-to-day basis or month-to-month basis for sure. But I'll say that like the main reason I went back and really wanted to do it is because you know to be successful at this level, you got to speak the language of business. You have to speak finance.
Yeah.
You have to know when your CFO is telling you, X, Y, and Z, what exactly that means, and not just kind of like, BS your way through it. You have to understand, like, at this level, especially post exit, where's your growth coming from? What do unit economics look like? How do we get more EBIT? All that. And without that MBA, I don't know that I would have picked it up as quick for sure. A lot of good theory on marketing, a lot of good theory in finance, a lot of good theory in operations,
I
but a
think
lot.
I think business is business too. You know what I mean? People are predictable,
Yeah.
and in that predictability, you can you can deduce from years and years and years of people doing business that you're gonna maybe things have changed here and there, but for the most part, there's a consistency in
Yeah.
in growth, and okay, and in this part you're probably going to experience this, and then when you guys move here you're probably going to experience this.
Yeah.
But we
Yeah.
were talking about the importance of history and
Yeah.
business, right? And
Yeah.
understanding those things that, like, I used to be very anti-school.
Yeah.
I would always say that college is A students teaching B students to work for C students. Like I always said that. But as I get older, right, and as I'm educating myself, I read a book a week now, and I'm like, man, history repeats itself. Humans are predictable. You know what I mean? Like psychology, relationship building, the building blocks of business are sort of the same, right? And it's not,
Yeah.
yes, your industry might be a little bit different, but the principles of business remain the same, right? And it's funny because like I have a mentor. He runs a $45 million law firm in Atlanta, and I get to attend his events. He turned into a consultant called 8-Figure Firm, and so he's teaching other attorneys how to scale their businesses to like 8 figures, right?
Nice.
And so I'm like learning how to run a business, right? How to run an 8-figure law business. I got a videography and social media company, but once again, it's the same. It's the predictability of people. It's relationship. It's what is it? What are we doing when we're scaling from 1 million to 5 million, and then 5 million to 10 million, and then 10 million to 20 million. And it's developing what you were saying, right? You're developing leaders now. You're working on sort of this higher level and coaching, and more education-based stuff. So
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. I feel like, I'm a member of this group that has a bunch of entrepreneurs in it, and we talk about our problems. And you see, even though the business isn't exactly the same, you see the parallels all the time. And I think to your point, it's, school. I feel like a lot of folks that go out and start businesses, exactly that point of the school is maybe not exactly for them, and that reading's not exactly for them. But I think ultimately it's the same thing. You're just learning a different way. You're learning from that firsthand experience.
yeah,
You're able to tie that emotion to it of like grinding through it and being scared and, all the different things that come with building it yourself. But now it's kind of at the point where, and you said it, it's a book a week. We're always, I think good leaders are always constantly learning. but now I just prefer to learn from somebody else's mistakes versus mine.
Yeah. So is this a group that you're a part of, sort of an accountability group and a place where you can bring issues and, sort of
Yeah.
mentorship?
So it's EO, Entrepreneurs
Oh
Organization,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and Arik got me into that. I'm really part of the Key Executive Forum here in Sacramento. So there's about 8 of us that meet once a month, go through what's going on, and a lot of it for our specific forum, we focus on what's going on in business. These are all people that run companies. Big and small, 9 figures down to 7, and hey, what are we seeing in this exact market? And the best part of it is learning from other people, exactly like I was saying, right? Versus you don't got to crash the car yourself every time to see if the airbag works. Somebody else has a great story. Cool. Let me pick that up. Let me take that home. Let me implement that before I run into the same thing. I think a great example of this was like the ADA rules for websites changed. It's something that wasn't even on my radar, but versus finding out about it via like a lawsuit or whatever, hey,
Got to be on top
found
of
out
it.
quick, boom, boom, boom. Had our marketing team pivot some things around. We changed it up and got it done within like a month.
You find it's a lot of risk management these days for you?
I feel like we're one step before that as a company. I feel like right now we're still grow mode. I feel like we still have the ability to take a lot of risks. I give credit to our parent company too, Asabaloy, for letting us take a lot of risks and helping us, grow with their capital in a lot of ways. But it's a little bit different from when we exited too. I feel like the risk management was actually more pre-exit. It's like, look, we had to be very strategic and very thoughtful about cash and runway. And now we're kind of in that mode post-exit where it's like, look, let's keep a little bit of EBIT in the business to grow the thing, to accelerate and see what we can do. I feel like the next maybe like 5 to 7 down the line is where that risk management phase of the business will come in when we're 200 million and all of that. But that fun for another day. Or maybe
That's
fun for
exciting, man.
Another person.
Yeah. Is this something that you always saw yourself doing or what?
I mean, with smart lockers in particular.
No. Just
Definitely
CEO,
not. Yeah.
entrepreneurship.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you go in. I feel like we were part of a generation that it was kind of like an amazing time for entrepreneurship and all this stuff with Silicon Valley. Kind of, I know it's always been there, but really in the late '90s, early 2000s, kind of became that like place where everybody wanted to be. And then, I'll even give credit to like TV shows like Shark Tank.
Yeah.
Growing up and stuff like that, where it kind of like opened everybo's like eyes to like, oh man, there's this other way to do it besides the way your dad did it and your mom did it and all of that. So, I think probably about 13 was dabbling with like a skateboard company and selling like apparel and stuff like that. So maybe a little early, not successful, by the way, but like, dabbling out. So I thought, yeah, that this would be part of it, but I didn't know what a smart locker was pre 2017. So I could never have seen this one coming, but that's the beautiful part of it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy how all of this stuff is just getting faster and faster. How is AI affecting you guys?
Oh man. So we talked about it a little bit. We're a product that enables a service. That experience I talked about where the carriers just walk up and they deliver it and you get your code and you pick it up and you're smiling and happy. That's like 99.9% of the time. But that point one, we have issues just like any other company that we have to staff service for. Um, and that point one gets really, really big when you're doing 100 million deliveries per year. That's the scale
Yeah.
that we're at now. So AI, Chat GPT, and all the stuff that's been coming out this year has really forced us to think about where do we want to be in 2 years with this whole thing. Um, we have really, really great support reps. We have really, really great um, partners that with cameras and VR and all the different stuff that we do to make this service great. But the bomb has been dropped and we have to figure it out now. And we can't do the same thing that we were doing 2 years ago. And I'm really, really cautious about how does AI not become a way for us to just slash headcount across the board, right? Like, how do we use this as a way to take our existing headcount? We know we're scaling like this, and up level and upskill them to where they can do more and be like a 10x employee. So that's the big challenge for us right now, is that you were here, you were answering calls, you were reviewing video. Like, how do I turn you into like a master of machines that is now checking the intent conversion rate for our AI bot that we're developing? How do we become like a pipeline manager for our service recovery versus just someone who's taking the phone call? And like through that, it's like, hey, if we can up level you with the skills, we can up level you with the cash as well, the money and the salary, and kind of everybody wins. So that is actually the nuance of my big challenge right now.
Yeah. So y'all are developing your own AI right now?
So we're a technology company, like first and foremost, just happens to make like really great hardware as well. We've had some AI with our like optical character recognition. We scan like package labels and stuff like that. It'll tell you, hey, this package is for Armando and this is where he lives, and kind of go through that flow. ChatGPT has really been like a forcing function to upgrade our chatbot, if you want to call it that. So we were previously on our chatbot more or less what you call like a path bot. Hey, press 1 for English, press 2 for Spanish, and then it kind of takes you through this decision tree. We're revamping that now to do natural language and use ChatGPT actually as the language model that we're using on the back end to say, hey man, my package is missing. Great, we can handle that versus sending you directly over to someone manning the phone or manning the chat.
It's wild, man. Thinking about how this is going to, the implications, right? Mm-hmm. But I also think that, human beings are very adaptive.
Yep.
Right? And they're going to see something. I think we're always looking for sort of a problem, right? And so hopefully we'll be able to use this to increase the solvability, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it, right? Like, we don't have telephone switch operators anymore, right? Like, we don't have,
right.
And not everybody's like a blacksmith anymore, right? Like, this is just the next phase and iteration of it.
Right.
I think it's like scary in some ways because we watched a lot of like Terminator movies and stuff like that, like growing up. Yeah. But like, the reality is this is just the next phase. And, these kids that grew up with, my 2-year-old nephew can work an iPhone better than I can, right? Knows how to navigate the apps, knows how to get to YouTube, all this, right? And they'll be fine. This is kind of, this next era of business is built for them, and they'll be fine.
Yeah. It's so, and as we're talking about, human beings and predictability and just history, I think, I was reading a really good book. It's called Marketing Rebellion.
Okay.
And it's just basically talking about as we get further and further forward and ahead and, technology, the thing that like is always going to be constant is the human element, the human connection, the how is someone, how are they absorbing the business? How are they coming into contact with it? What are the touch points? How are they feeling that? And I don't necessarily, I think there's going to be people out there that are going to enjoy the AI interaction or interface, them talking to a robot. But I don't necessarily think that that's going to be the norm. You know what I mean? Like the majority, I think, are always going to want to speak to, a human being.
Totally. And we go through this actually a lot with remote work. It's kind of like a parallel that I'll draw here is that, for 10,000 years, we've lived in, groups and tribes and whatever you want to call it, right? Like we are social creatures. We are built to like help the group. We're, for protection and for advancement and for like whatever. This is just the new flavor, I guess, of the decade and all of that. And, we were talking about remote work, and it's funny, like a lot of folks, when the pandemic hit, we emptied office. It just is what it is. I think Arik and I were sneaking into the office to try to work and stuff like that. I know we were like, I don't know if I'm supposed to say that because we were locked down out here in California and all of that, but we were getting after it because that's just kind of what we had to do to make it to make it run. But there's this big kind of like, hey, do we want to come back? Like, how should we come back? Where do we come back? And it was new and people were figuring it out. But what I've seen is that a lot of, especially like our younger employees here, are in the office the most. And it's because, we kind of take it for granted, but we showed up to an office every day and we got out of school or high school, college, whatever, and we spoke to 30 people a day and you made friends. And a lot of like your friends after school, your friends from high school and college, moved wherever, your new set of friends was the people that you worked with. And I think there's they crave that, right? These younger folks that we're bringing in. So even though we're kind of a 3-2 hybrid, not uncommon for people just to be around. And you're starting to see that more and more and more. I think within 2 years, there'll be some people want to be remote. Fantastic. If you can do it, great. But there'll be a huge cohort of people that
don't want to do that. Yeah.
In office. And that's what history has taught us, to your point, for 10,000 years.
There was a article, I think it was a Vice article, which, Vice, boy, I don't understand. Vice, man. They, I think more often or not, they're not hitting the thing today than they are. But there was one article, I think, that was, talking about the backfire of all of these people thinking that they wanted to work remote, and they're becoming more depressed. They're becoming lonelier. They're becoming, they're not as productive. They don't necessarily want to work, and it is that environment that like gets people hype, Really good book, man. I don't know if you ever read it. It's called The 6 Types of Working Genius. Have you read this book?
Incredible. No, I'll write it down.
Incredible. But the acronym is WIDGET, right? And it's just the different personality types, and they're saying that people usually have 2 that they're really strength in, and then 2 that like drains their energy, and then 2 that are like kind of in the middle. And so wonder is the first one. Wonder are the people that are just always asking questions, curious about the world.
Yeah.
Right. Then you have invention. These are the people that are like ideas 35 and a minute, I'm idea guy. Discernment are the people that are really good at like gauging whether an idea is good or not. You know, that discernment, the gut instinct. And luckily I've got people on my team, and I talk about this all the time on my show, but it was like, what a blessing to find this book, because I always thought that my people with discernment were like just shitting on my ideas. And I was like, guys, what the hell, but no, they were just, challenging me on it, and making sure that I was like, okay, so, and my wife also big on discernment. Then you got galvanizing, people that are like motivating, can rally the troops. You know, enablement are the people that are Johnny on the spot. They don't necessarily need the spotlight, but they're like, you know, wherever they fit in, they'll be. And then tenacity are the people that can like take things across the finish line, you know?
Yeah.
And so after reading the book, just once again reaffirmed why having a group in sort of the same spot, working together and understanding the different personality types can really accelerate where you want to go, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think there's a ton of that now, and it's kind of a different game post acquisition and all of that too, where uh, there was like 20, 30 of us that were probably all either idea or tenacity. That's just kind of like what it takes to get the job done. But now it's like in kind of talking about role shifting and the company evolving, you see a lot more of all types, and you're kind of saying like, okay, well, what can I put around me to complement me? Like, what can we put around to complement those next level of leaders? Uh, Tons of new folks, tons more diversity, tons more everything, and so that's also a learning curve too, where it's like no more like, what do you mean you didn't stay up till 2 a.m. Solving that problem? So it's just a different phase, man.
Yeah, it's just different personality. So who are y'all's referral partners? Like who are you guys marketing to currently?
You know, we're a lot of it's direct to properties and property managers that need help. I would say we've also done some stuff in retail, where if you've gone to the Home Depot or seen their commercials with the smart locker on there, that's ours, and the ones at Best Buy, ours. So the partners there are more so like those entrepreneurs that are trying to drive change within these like Fortune 50 companies that see the benefit, you know, that maybe what we start to see is a lot of folks that were in an apartment building that had Luxer One maybe like 5 years ago are now in business. They're in positions of like, you know, management and all of that. And they're like, you know, what would really solve a lot of problems for our business is, you know, this smart locker that I had back in the day. It did packages, but you know, we could apply that to this problem set here. So like, honestly, a lot of our flywheel is we've had we've probably had like closer to 10 million users now that have lived in an apartment, used our service, and then maybe gone on and bought a single family home or whatever the case is. A lot of it's just those guys. Like, we'll go to a trade show. I was in Chicago last week for NeoCon. It's an office furniture design technology trade show.
Mm-hmm.
Probably 20 people just walk up to me like, oh my gosh, Luxer One, I had you guys in my apartment, I loved it, you know, high five and all of that. And
that's cool.
They're on their way, but that's probably our biggest flywheel right now.
So marketing changes at that level, obviously, right? Because you guys have so much referral based business at that point that it's just, you know, are you now looking to talk to big companies like Walmart and, you know, and how do you get into those rooms?
It's a great question. So yeah, it definitely does change. It definitely is more, especially in multifamily, like a referral relationship business. Like, hey, we did right by this one customer during the sale. We did right by them during the ongoing service. We're 365, 24/7 service. Great. So it's very referral based in that way. With some of these new markets, office and retail and whatever. I mean, in office, we're just back to the grind. Like, it's like day one kind of Luxer. We're going to trade shows, we're talking to people, we're mixing it up. Hey, can I tell you about this? And trying to get that word of mouth out there, because you know, SEO, SEM is just a sea of fish. You know, hey, how do we make like a real connection with people? In terms of retail, and how do we get like in those rooms? I think it's different in the sense that like you have to be really, really tactical about a problem that you're trying to solve, and you have to be really conscious that like a big problem to you is maybe not a big problem to them. When
Right.
we're talking about, these Fortune 50 customers, man, it's not on their radar if they're not like losing or able to save over $50 million. So a lot of the stuff is like, oh my gosh, I've got the perfect solution for you, man. Like I'm going to save you $2 million a year. They're like, okay, like that's,
Wow.
so you have to make sure you're tackling a big enough problem. And then if you are, and you've kind of tapped into that vein, the people are there. It just takes a lot more corporate navigation. Are you on LinkedIn? Are you finding the right titles? Do you know what those titles actually do? Do you know what makes them tick? Do you know what makes them look good? Do you know what makes their boss look good? How do you tap into that like conversation to say, look, I'm not just some guy that wants your money and I'll send you a product. Like this is a way that we're going to provide continuous value for you. It's going to drive your organization in this way. It's going to tie out. And the best part is your CFO is going to love you because you saved a bunch of dollars on the end of it.
Yeah, that's cool. Very, very cool. Dude, thank you so much for being on the show. Tell the people where they can find you guys.
Yeah, luxerone.com, luxerone.com is probably the easiest way to get more information about the company, about our products. If you want to reach out and connect with me, I'm Josh Middlebrooks on LinkedIn, and decently active on there, enough to respond to some messages and stuff like that.
Hey, I got a question for you. So you guys,
Sure.
do you guys work with hiding, I guess, your locker in homes? For
Okay.
like,
I didn't know where we were going with this. We're like hiding.
yeah, I know, but
the,
like you, like in a wall, and then it's covered by
Yeah,
paper,
yeah.
and then you open it up, and it's,
Oh, kind of like a safe.
Yeah.
We don't necessarily do like safes per se. Like we have a back-end technology that can power a safe if you like. But we're really, you got to pick kind of like a lane to a certain extent, and we're really all about package management. Like
Gotcha.
people ask us all the time, can you do vending machines? Can you do safes? Can you do whatever? And I think part of our success has been telling people no. And I mean, we've literally turned down, call it, a $20 million contract
wow.
to build like a vending machine kind of like solution where we're like, look, we have to be focused. We have to pick our lane, and it hurts sometimes. Like when you see that like go through the door, but you're like, dang it. No, man, we're package management only.
That's cool, man. That's good discipline. It's great discipline.
Try.
Well, cool. Mr. Middlebrooks, thank you so much, man. I love these podcasts just because I get to meet, people that I would have never met, and, just kind of pick the brain a little bit, and, definitely learned a lot from you. If you guys are out there looking for a package management solution, hit up Luxer One because they can help you guys. So I appreciate you, man.
All right, man. Thanks for having me on.
And that was Spaghetti on the Wall, ladies and gentlemen, another week. And you can always find Spaghetti on the Wall, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube. You can find it. Just look it up. You'll find it. And then, brought to you by LeDuc Entertainment. For all of your social media marketing needs, video, we got you. And we'll see y'all next week.